title that I had sent out on the little notice was Keeping a Positive Outlook in Troubled Times. But it's really about what do we do within ourselves to achieve that positive outlook. How do we respond to the news reports that are everywhere? Every time I turn on the computer or the TV, anything. Is there some action we can or should take? What is a good spiritual approach? These questions and others have been on my mind. One answer seems to me to be, you do what you can that you feel you should be doing. Sometimes we just feel a call to respond in a certain way. But sometimes, in some situations, there's really nothing we can do on a physical level. Or maybe we did do something, but we wish there were more that we could do. And, of course, the spiritual response is always available to us. Oops. I forgot. Okay, you see I push this? Now, does this work?
Yeah.
I'll twist it up here. Prayer is always going to be beneficial.
I'm not too sure if that switch is on.
Okay.
Maybe on the top here.
Okay.
Yep.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Oh, yeah. So going back, prayer is always beneficial. Unity teaches us to pray in a very positive manner. But is there more for us to do? Unity writer Eric Butterworth said that our job is to see things rightly. But then I ran across a statement from the Jewish Talmud, which is a commentary on the scriptures, and they say, we do not see things as they are. We see them as we are. Ooh. So how do we get from here to here, from where we are to seeing it from the highest perspective? So we want to see them rightly. How do we do that? One answer that's been showing up for me recently is to recognize that each person involved, no matter what we think of them, no matter what they've done, is a creation of the divine, made in the image and likeness of God. That includes the victims out there, the perpetrators, and everybody else. And it's not just Unity or even Christianity that says these things. There's this fabulous book called Oneness, and they look at scriptures from all different traditions on various subjects. Okay. This one is man is created in God's image. We've heard that from the Old Testament Jewish scriptures. God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. But from Hinduism, the individual soul is nothing else in essence than the universal soul. And from Islam, on God's own nature has been molded man's. The Sikhs say God is concealed in every heart. His light is in every heart. And from the Christian scriptures, know ye not, you are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwells within you. But which God? The God of the Hebrews? The God of Islam, Christianity? The gods of Hinduism? Well, they have an answer for that too. Christianity says there is one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. That's kind of the way unity looks at it, isn't it?
Mm.
From Judaism, have we not all one Father? Has not one God created us? From the Hindus, He's the one God hidden in all beings, all pervading, the self within all beings. That's capital S, self. Watching over all worlds, dwelling in all beings, the witness, the perceiver. And Confucius said, remember even when alone, that the divine is everywhere. And the Sikhs, there is but one God whose name is true. He is the creator, immortal, unborn, self-existent. So, okay, there's one God. What's he like? We can think of a number of different words. The ones they included here from Christianity, God is love. And he who abides in love abides in God, and God abides in him. The Buddhists say, he that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. From the Jewish scriptures, love is the beginning. No, this is not the scriptures. This is a commentary on the scriptures. Love is the beginning and the end of the Torah, of the scriptures. Confucius, love belongs to the high nobility of heaven and is the quiet home where man should dwell. The Sufis have writings that say sane and insane, all are searching lovelorn for him, capital H, in mosque, temple, church alike. For only God is the one God of love, and love calls from all of these, each one his home. And one of my Tibetan teachers said it this way, your true nature is unconditional love. So, where do we find this God? Is he in the church? Unity tells us that God is where?
Within us.
From the Christian scriptures, the kingdom of God cometh not with observation, neither shall they say, lo here or lo there. For behold, the kingdom of God is within you. Confucius, with the undeveloped man, what the undeveloped man seeks is outside. What the advanced man seeks is within himself. The Shinto religion, do not search in distant skies for God. In man's own heart is he found. From the Hindus, God abides hidden in the hearts of all. And the Sikhs, even as the scent dwells within the flower, so God within thine own heart ever abides. Seek him with earnestness and find him there. Now, I said earlier we were going to talk about the words that begin omni. There are 3 of them that are often used to speak of the divine being. Omnipotent, what does that mean?
All-knowing.
All powerful.
All powerful. All knowing's next. Omniscient.
All knowing.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then omnipresent is the 3rd. What does that mean?
Everywhere.
All present.
Right.
Undivided.
In and through and as you. In and through and as everyone else. And in and through and as all the space in between. It's easy to kind of think of God in a person. But to to look around at all of the open space and know that that energy that we call God fills it. It's not empty space. It's full space. My very first assignment with one of my spiritual teachers was to meditate for a week on omnipresence. Wow, what a week. It was amazing. Now, unity has an old phrase. I don't know, I haven't heard anyone say it in a long time, but there is no spot where God is not. That would mean that God is in the politician that we don't agree with. And organizations whose beliefs and actions we don't approve. And in the murderer that sits in a prison cell. Back when 9/11 happened, I was haunted by the phrase, pray for your enemies. And I thought, how do I do that? Well, I'm going to talk about one way that we can. Even if you know no particulars of the situation. In the Kabbalah, the teachings of the mystical Jewish faith, there's one phrase that I've seen, says, I'm in all the universe and all the universe is in me. And they have an interesting way to remind themselves of the holiness of each individual. They take the name of the Creator, the Hebrew letters, and superimpose them over the silhouette of a human body. The letters are yud. It would be kind of like an apostrophe, small over the face. The hay goes across and down, and there's a little space, and then it goes down over there, right along the arms. The vav is here, and it's referred to as a letter of connection. And then there's another hay, which goes across the pelvis, and down, and down. And so they visualize this figure with the name of God written on it. Now, we don't need to use Hebrew letters. You can use God, Goddess, Creator, whatever name is most meaningful to you, and picture them in your prayer time over the person or persons or country that you wish to pray for. And then you just hold the energy of peace, of compassion, love, light, joy, power, all of those wonderful things. But remember that we're not meant to push against what is, but to see beyond what is to its most holy potential. You see the difference? There's another one of these I wanted to share. This is from an author I was not familiar with, and I love it. Beloved of God, greeting. In my integrity with me, where I know and see as God, I know and see you, O beloved, to be free, wise, immortal. I see you unfettered and unbound, triumphant, glorious, splendid. I see you unweighted by human thought of limitation, unweighted by matter. I see you unbound, undiseased, buoyant. I see you strong, mighty, forceful, powerful, divine. I see your eye lit with fire from on high. I see your tongue tipped with celestial instructions. I behold you bright, joyous. I see you victorious, undaunted. I see you spotless, beautiful. I see you flawless, fearless, transcending yourself and all your affairs, independent. I see you smiling, sound, sane, strong. I send you to be the strong Son of God, sibling of Jesus Christ, and joint heir of the Father to the kingdom. I see you alive with God and upheld by his free spirit forever. All the world sees you as I see you now and evermore. Isn't that beautiful?
Who wrote that?
H.B. Jeffrey. I'm not familiar. And I would say that, I won't tell you how old I am, but I was 18 when I was introduced to Unity. So it's been a long time. And so most of the authors I have come to know, but that's not one of them. He cut beyond appearances and went to the most holy potential. And that's the kind of prayer I'm talking about. Now, I want also to share from a book by Paul Selig. He's a best-selling author and channel, and a lot of what he has to say is right to the point here too. You're not telling people not to war. Nobody's ever listened to that. If you think back to it, to know the divine in presence upon the battlefield is to claim all you see beyond fear, or any justification that fear would present itself as. Any banner of false lies playing out on the battlefield that would justify the killing of a man for a false cause must be reknown by the divine, and in the knowing of it, men do put down their arms. And they move beyond the need to decide what should be and claim instead what can only be, which is the divine that is inherent in anything and everything, regardless of what the small self thinks of it. And there was another little spot in here. The divine presence is in all, not just the things you approve of or would like to see or would like to claim agreement to. If you would imagine for a moment that there's something before you, or perhaps someone that you would claim as a monster, and decide for the moment that your articulation of the word monster is what makes it so, and your ideas of what makes a monster are agreed to through cultural choice and history, then you will see that in fact you are the monster maker. And to reveal the monster as the holy being he or she may be is to release the names that it has been called and to be known as the divine self. The truth of who anybody is that exists beyond form or personality or history or idealization, the idea of the being in a perfect state, in a blueprint, if you wish, that it may claim its accordance with. You are not denying what exists. You are reclaiming what is in the highest octave. But what about those people who do the awful things? How do we realize them in the upper room? And they're speaking of the upper room as Jesus went into the upper room is spoken of as us moving into our higher consciousness. You're not realizing the act in the upper room as much as the essence of everything incorporated in what you call the act, which is attitude, behavior, action, personality, because nothing Nothing is separate from God. Everything can be assumed as of God. And then I had one more thing I wanted to share. This is from a very magical little book. It's called The Untethered Soul. How many of you know of it?
Singer, is that the author?
Yes, Michael Singer.
I got it from the library last week.
Did you?
Well, I'm not going to spoil the end for you, but I'm going to share from the last chapter. It's not like a mystery. So how can anyone really know anything about God? We have so many teachings, so many concepts, so many views about God, but they've all been touched by people. Fortunately, deep within us, there's a direct connection to the divine. There is a part of our being that's beyond the potential, the personal self. You can consciously choose to identify with that part rather than the psyche of the body. When you do this, a natural transformation begins to take place within you. Just as rain makes you wet and fire makes you warm, so you can know the nature of God by looking into the mirror of your transformed self. But ultimately, how do you really know anything about God? How can you ever know what is beyond you? You know because there are those who have gone beyond and have come back. And we call those people what? Any ideas? Saints? Mystics? They felt tremendous love, spirit, and light waking up inside of them. And then one day there was no sense of separation. No sense of separateness was experiencing that love and light. There was only the ultimate expansiveness of their sense of self, merging into the love and the light, like a single drop of water merging into the ocean. What does creation look like from that divine state? What have they seen, those who have gone beyond and looked through the eyes of God? They see that there's no judging. Judging faded away long ago. There's just more beauty to see. More love, more compassion, more understanding, and more admiration for all of the different expressions and actions of creation. But what if it is really true that God is not judging? What if God is loving? We all know that true love doesn't judge. Love sees nothing but beauty in its beloved. There is no possibility of impurity, no matter what it beholds. It's all beautiful. That's how true love sees. That's what it looks like through the eyes of love. So if God is love, what must it look like through those eyes? The eyes that are filled with infinite love and unconditional compassion. Those are the eyes of God looking down through you. When you feel love this deeply, you feel that it's coming from something greater than you. It's transcendental love. It is divine, unconditional, selfless love. The Masters spoke of that love, didn't they? The ones that went beyond. They said it's a state you attain when you drift into spirit. That's how spirit looks upon its creation. That's what you should be taught. No matter what you do, no matter what you've done, you will always be loved. Do you want to know how God looks upon this world? Do you want to know how he feels about different kinds of people? Then look at the sun. Does the sun shine more brightly on a saint than anyone else? Is the air more available to the saint? Does the rain fall on one neighbor's trees more than another? You can turn your eyes from the sun's light and live in darkness for 100 years. If you turn then toward the light is still there. It is there for you just the same as for the person who has enjoyed its brilliance for 100 years. All of nature is like this. The fruit on the tree willingly gives itself to everyone. Your relationship with God is the same as your relationship with the sun. If you hid from the sun for years and years and then chose to come out of your darkness, the sun would still be shining as if you had never left. No matter what you've done, you're not sorry. As you drift back into spirit, you'll see that those are the eyes that look out upon the world. That's the heart that shines down upon everything and everyone. Through those eyes, the most wretched of creatures looks beautiful. And that's the part no one understands. Some people say that God cries when he looks at this earth. The saint sees that God goes into ecstasy when he looks at this earth. Under all conditions and at all times. Ecstasy is the only thing that God knows. God's nature is eternal, conscious bliss. And no matter what you've done, you are not going to be the one thing that ruins it. The beauty is that you can experience this ecstasy, and when you begin to feel this joy, that's when you'll know God's nature. You'll feel love instead of shame. Instead of being unwilling to lift your eyes to the divine because of what you said or done, you'll see the divine as a place of unconditional refuge. Contemplate this and let go of the idea of a judgmental God. You have a loving God. In truth, you have love itself for a God. And love cannot do other than love. Your God is in ecstasy, and there's nothing you can do about it. And if God is in ecstasy, I wonder what he sees when he looks at you. Let's take time now and we'll do a short meditation. So if you would get comfortable. Excuse me. I'm tethered, aren't I? Sorry. This meditation is based on the writings of a Sufi. His name is Neil Douglas Klotz, or his Sufi name is Sadi Shakir Chisti. So let's get comfortable now and put our feet on the floor and breathe gently but deeply into your body. Now allow your entire being to take a breath and feel the support from underneath as deeply as your bones. Feel the whole body as a container for the divine light. Feel your entire inner self being sheltered by the healing wings of the divine. Now place one hand gently over your heart. Find the whole world within your heart, and your heart within the heart of the Creator. This is the dwelling place of the Divine Beloved, the Creator of all that is. Breathe a gentle but full breath. Feel the heart itself as sacred space. Allow each breath you take to reveal a universe of love. Of understanding or wonder, and I'd like to begin today. I recently got a little book from Unity. It's full of writings of some of the very early Unity Writers. It's wonderful, and I have a copy for each of you. So I'll pass those out later.
Nice.
James Dillard Freeman was one of Unity's early poets and very loved. And this caught my attention. If thoughts had shapes like things, I wonder what they'd be. Would wonder not be wings, and reverie a sea? If hope looked like a seed, would lilies grow for grace? Would worry be a weed, despair a barren space? Would thoughts of truth not find a rainbow's radiant form? And would not peace of mind be sunlight after storm? And love, what shape would show love? Patient, warm, and true? All of you I love. I know that love would look like you.
Thank you.
I'm going to share a couple of other things from this during the course of the morning, and I think you'll love it as much as I do. Any other person want to share? Jerry?
I buy books at the Salvation Army when I'm in there, and I put them on the shelf until I get around to reading them. And pulled one off the shelf this week. It's called The Bible That Jesus Read. And as I opened it up, the bookmark that was inside was James Dillard Freeman's poem, I'm There, the one that went to the moon. And it was just nice to find a unity message right there in the middle of a book. I said, yeah, that's probably why it jumped off the shelf at me.
Wonderful. Anyone else? Yes.
Well, I had an experience, I guess this morning, but I've been having trouble with my dryer. And it dries clothes, but it makes this horrible noise, as if there's a belt or something is loose. And this has been going on for weeks. And then I said, oh, it might cost $100 to fix it, and I was trying to avoid it. And then I decided to finally call the repair people. I think it was a couple of days ago. So I called two of them. As soon as I called the repair people and talked to them, and they said, okay, yeah, or left messages. Then when I did my wash the next time, the dryer sounded different. It didn't sound so bad. So I thought to myself, this has happened before. Whenever I go to the doctor or have to go to the repair guy, something changes. Like the situation changes and actually improves. So when I did the wash this morning, the noise was gone. It stopped, and it was doing this for weeks. It stopped, and now it sounds normal. And it's drying the clothes. And I said, wow, it somehow repaired itself. So to me, it just shows how things are not like what they appear.
Yeah.
They're not as solid and maybe not as linear. So whatever we think should be may not be. And things can be like everything is sort of like spirit. Even the dryer.
Yeah, that's right. It has a personality.
It has a personality, has a spirit. So it was like amazing. So, grateful for its self-repair.
Yes.
I have a slow draining tub.
I
The
know.
liquid plumber hasn't worked.
Call the plumber, and when you start talking to the plumber, see if it improves, because and make sure it hears you. Like you got to have the phone near the tub. Talk to the repair guy.
Anyone else? Yes.
My name is Eric. For a couple of years now, since my heart's kind of open to spiritual matters, I've found myself kind of just not knowing at the time, but having seeds planted. I've come across certain literature and met certain individuals that kind of have sparked my curiosity onto what really God is. And along the last couple of years, I've just come across these individuals. Every time I kind of learn of a new path and instantly meet an individual who follows that path. And I've been able to sit with them and learn from them on their belief systems and their walk of life. And kind of started to build my own experience of what I am starting to kind of find inside of my spirit. And then once again, as soon as that happens, I run into an individual. That's why I'm here today.
Well, we bless you on your journey.
And to steal it. Keep coming back.
Yeah, so it's like those synchronicities are happening.
Yeah.
And they happen and they guide us. And the doors open. It's fun.
Anyone else?
Just offhand, how many people here feel that they were led into unity by outside circumstances?
Yeah, or spirit.
It's synchronicity.
Synchronicity,
All
yeah.
into unity.
Let's turn our attention now to our prayer box. I assume there are papers back there where people can write requests, or we can certainly find you something if there's nothing back there. So please place your prayer requests in the box. Does anyone have something they'd like to bring forward today? Now? Well, let's bless all of these prayer requests. Can we take that statement from your order of service? God's all-encompassing love is doing its perfect work in and through us. Wholeness is established in every area of our lives, and so it is. And now let's have our daily word reading.
It's up on the podium there.
Oh, she's all
Okay.
set.
Today's, the word is healing, for November 3rd, 2019. I let the life of God flow through me now, and I am healed. Divine life, the life of God, is always present everywhere. It is the energy that maintains my physical body in perfect balance, even when I am ill or in pain. Divine life is always active, always seeking more complete expression through me. When I feel the need for healing, I gently let go of any thought of illness and give my full attention to the energy of divine life within me. Excuse me. I bless my body and thank it for serving me. As I turn my attention inward and focus on the rhythm of my breath, I become aware of the vibrant energy of divine life active everywhere in my body. I feel this restoring me to my natural state of wholeness. I let the life of God flow through me now, and I am healed. And then from Isaiah 58:8, then your light shall break forth like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up quickly.
Thank you.
Let's take a moment in prayer, and I'm going to save our meditation for later at the end of the service. So if you would, just turn inward. And we know that the Divine Spirit is moving in and through our lives, the lives of our loved ones, the lives of people all over the world. And we trust that Spirit. We know the healing power, the loving power that's there. And we say thank you. Thank you, beloved Spirit. Amen. You've heard this a lot, but I'm going to sing it anyway. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you time. You were less than all. How could anyone fail to notice that God's presence dwells within you? How completely we're connected, soul to soul.
Amen.
Life and love all around you. Life and love in all you see. As you breathe, feel your breath extending in front of you from your heart, illuminating and lighting up the path ahead. After your next breath, begin the return to this time, this room. And now take a look at the beautiful, wonderful, precious beings seated around you as you open your eyes.
service someplace.
It's time now to take our love offering, so if you would hold it in your hand. And let's send the energy of blessing into that it may go forth to do good and be returned in some other way. Can we take the statement that's in the order of service, please? Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I receive, all that I have, and all that I am. If we would, instead of just standing for our song, please make a circle.
The bags.
The bags for the offering.
Those details that kill you.
Other face. Catherine.